Here's 5 great tips if you're staying at Great Wolf Lodge in Niagara Falls. Let's get into it. Number 1, and this is probably the best thing to know of all. Even if your check-in time is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and your rooms aren't ready or anything else, you can still use the whole water park and every facility at the lodge even before you get into your room. So I recommend that you pack your bathing suit, maybe a towel and flip-flops, a few things like that that you want to use in the pool area. And then if your room isn't ready, you can still have a lot of fun, huge amount of fun in the water park before you even get into your room. And the same thing after you check out. You have access to the full facilities of the lodge after you check out. And that is a huge deal. Number 2 tip, speaking of water park. So the chlorine in there can be pretty strong. And, with all those kids in there, it's probably a good idea. But that chlorine can be pretty harsh on skin, especially for kids. So I recommend that everyone has a shower afterwards, get all dried off, get that chlorine out of the system as soon as you can. Speaking of water parks, tip number 3. Try to get there into the water park area early, like maybe in the late morning after you get up and have some coffee, that kind of thing. Get into that water park early, and if you can book on like a weekday as opposed to a weekend, you'll probably find the lineups a lot less. Lineups weren't bad for us, but in the morning they were a lot better. Number 4 tip, and this is more of a heads up than a tip, I guess. Even with the all-inclusive packages, be aware that there's a lot of upgrades and extra things that they're selling, like bubble ones for $25, things like that, that can be, very tempting and difficult for parents to turn down. So just be aware, heads up, there's a lot of upgrades, even with the all-inclusive package. And my number 5 tip is, you might not have an opportunity to do this, but I'll give you a tip. I think there's 4 stories, 4 levels in the resort, and it's a pretty big area. So you could end up doing a lot of walking from your room to the restaurants, back to your room, to the water park, back to your room. If you can get on the ground floor, which is I think the 2000 series of rooms, that would be that's a pretty good spot to be, and that's where we were. And I think that saved us a lot of going up and down stairs. And by the way, the room numbers go from highest near the central part of the lodge to the lowest farther away from the lodge. So if you have opportunity to pick your rooms, that's a tip for you. But ask the hotel staff when you make your bookings. Anyway, there's 5 tips for you. If you're staying at Great Wolf Lodge, we had a fantastic time, and these will help you have a good time too. Have a good one. Bonus tip, be sure to talk to the moose.